Hello, and welcome to History 355, History of Argentina. Today we're going to be talking about the May Revolution, 25 May 1810. And this is an image that has been recreated, sort of commemorating the event. And you can see the streets aren't paved, there's horses, the women are in dresses, just what you would imagine colonial Buenos Aires would look like. So to start off with, we have to begin with Napoleon in Europe. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm starting with Napoleon in Europe. Well, because in 1808, Napoleon is going to invade Spain, or the entire Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula is what is today Spain and Portugal. So he's going to invade Spain in an attempt to recreate what is known as the continental system, basically cutting off Europe from the rest of the world, particularly England, right? To sort of, because he was, his main point was just cut off England. However, he's going to capture the King of Spain, Fernando VII, and he's going to take Fernando VII and place him in a prison in France. As a result of that, what's going to happen in Spain is that a ruling junta, or a ruling governmental body, is going to rule Spain from Seville. It's sort of a government in exile. But what's going to really happen here is that that Spain is going to be at war. Napoleon never reaches Seville, but nonetheless, the question about who's in charge in Spain becomes quickly a problem, especially as the Spanish begin to have to fight Napoleon. The question is, how does this affect the Rio de la Plata and Argentina in particular? Well, in August 1808, a new viceroy by the name of Pedro Cisneros is going to arrive from Spain. Problem with this. The problem with Pedro Cisneros was that he was appointed by the junta, not by Fernando VII, the king. The king is in jail. And of course, in Buenos Aires, they sort of begin to question if this is a legitimate government. Can the ruling junta in Seville appoint a new viceroy? And this becomes the underlying tension. Now, of course, the viceroy is going to run into some problems. First of all, he wanted to restrict trade. Now, while he favored comercio libre, which we've discussed in a previous lecture, he really supported large He really was in favor of large monopolistic traders in the region and did not favor small businessmen or small merchants. And as a result of that, he rather falls in disfavor with many small merchants. He also had a great deal of problems with the militia. The militia had fought the British quite successfully. And of course, the militia are not really all that trusting of this new viceroy. There's quite a bit of tension between the two groups. And so this is the situation under which the new viceroy arrives in Buenos Aires. So a man by the name of Manuel Belgrano, he begins to plot to overthrow the Cisneros government in 1810. And what he's beginning to do in the beginning of 1810, in January 1810, and he does so by establishing a new newspaper called Correo de Comercio, which retranslates as the Business Mail, and he starts his own literary society. Now, this literary society serves more as cover to plot his revolutionary ideas against the viceroy. And so what's interesting here is he's using this as sort of cover. He's got his own newspaper to kind of propagate his ideas, and he begins to plot against the viceroy. Now, Cisneros realizes that he has a political problem. And so what he decides to do is to hold something called a Cabildo Abierto, to establish his authority. And to do that, he calls about 400 of the most important men in Buenos Aires. Now, 200 people attend, and what he's trying to do at this Cabildo Abierto, or this open town hall meeting, as it's known, a Cabildo Abierto is an open town hall meeting. What he's trying to do is to get the authority to rule, right? But what ends up happening is on May 25th, 1810, the Cabildo Abierto arrests Cisneros and throws him in jail. And so as a result of that, what we see here is that Cabildo is beginning to rule in the name of the king, right? Instead of the viceroy ruling in the name of the king, the Cabildo Abierto takes that authority and was going to rule in the name of the king. Now, this is not a revolution in terms of separation from Spain. Basically, what the Cabildo Abierto is saying is that they are holding a revolution against the viceroy, not the king, the viceroy. There's a huge difference there, and you need to understand that. So this Cabildo Abierto then takes control. And they appoint a revolutionary junta to rule in the name of the king until the king can appoint a new viceroy. The president of the junta is Saavedra, and these are the list of men who are part of this revolutionary government or this revolutionary junta. Belgrano, Castelli, Moreno, Alberti, Azucena, Larea, Mateo. And these are the men who are going to rule Argentina, or in the Rio de la Plata area, until the king can theoretically appoint a new viceroy. It is called the May Revolution, not because of the separation from Spain, and I really want you to understand this, but rather because of the replacement of a viceroy. In the later lecture, we will discover the independence movement. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.